It's like training a dog. That was the sentence that turned sickness into evidence. Not because of one bad night, but because of what those months of pain, dizziness, exhaustion, and confusion had really been hiding. Tonight's story is about a man who believed his girlfriend was caring for him through a mysterious illness, only to realize she was the one creating it, measuring it, and using it to make him easier to control. Sometimes the person holding the soup is the reason you got sick in the first place. Before we begin, this is a fictionalized story created for entertainment and storytelling purposes. Names, characters, places, and events have been invented and/or altered. Any resemblance to real people or real situations is purely coincidental. AI was used only to assist with language polishing and voice production. The concept, structure, emotional framing, and final narrative presentation are human-created.
It's like training a dog. My girlfriend's sister laughed. They'd been drugging me for 8 months after every fight, not knowing I was standing just outside the door. She won't see freedom again. Guys, I don't even know how to start this. This is gonna sound absolutely bonkers, but I think my girlfriend has been drugging me for months. So me and Tiffany have been together for like 14 months now. Met her at my buddy Jake's barbecue last summer. She's smart, funny, gorgeous. Like the total package, you know. Conversation flowed so easily. We had the same taste in movies. She laughed at all my dumb jokes. I was smitten immediately. We moved in together pretty fast, maybe 6 months ago, and everything seemed absolutely perfect. We split expenses fairly, never really fought about anything major. She'd already met my parents twice, planning this big Europe trip for next summer. I was thinking about ring shopping and everything. But here's the thing that's been driving me crazy. For the past few months, I've been sick constantly, like weird sick that doesn't make any sense. Started around February with just being tired all the time, which I figured was work stress. I'm in IT, and we've had this massive system migration project that's been killing me with 60-hour weeks. Then my stomach started acting up. Random cramping, nausea that would hit out of nowhere. Sometimes I'd be running to the bathroom for hours with the worst diarrhea. I'd feel fine in the morning, eat lunch, then by 3 p.m. I'm doubled over in pain. The dizziness was the worst part. Started maybe 6 weeks ago. I'd be sitting at my desk working and suddenly feel like the room was spinning. A couple times I thought I might actually pass out right there in the office. Tiffany was super supportive through all of this. Started cooking these elaborate healthy meals for me, bringing me homemade smoothies with like spinach and protein powder, making sure I took all these vitamins and supplements. She'd research my symptoms online and come up with new theories. I felt terrible that she was doing so much to help when I couldn't even figure out what was wrong with me. So last night completely changed everything. Tiffany thought I was asleep, and her sister Courtney came over around 10 p.m. They were in the kitchen talking, and I could hear them from the bedroom. Just normal sister stuff at first. Courtney complaining about her job, Tiffany venting about some drama with her coworkers. Then I heard my name and something about when he pisses you off. I got up and crept closer to the door to listen. What I heard made my blood freeze in my veins. Tiffany's laughing and she goes, "Oh my God, remember last week when he totally forgot to pick up my dry cleaning?" I was so mad. Put 2 lax tablets in his morning coffee before work. He spent half the day in the bathroom at the office and was so sorry and apologetic when I got home. And Courtney's like, "That's perfect. I told you the sleep aids work better if you crush them up and put them in something hot though. Coffee or soup. He won't taste it and it hits his system faster. Just don't give him too much or he'll sleep for like 14 hours straight and you'll have to explain why he missed work." They're talking about this stuff like they're discussing cooking recipes or something. Completely casual. I'm standing there in my pajamas, listening to this conversation for like 20 minutes. And it just keeps getting worse. Courtney actually says, it's basically like training a dog, you know? Bad behavior gets immediate negative consequences. Good behavior gets rewards and positive attention. Simple conditioning. And Tiffany laughs and goes, "The best part is he thinks I'm this amazing, caring girlfriend because I take such good care of him whenever he's sick. He has absolutely no idea I'm the one making him sick in the first place." They start planning what she should use next time I step out of line, discussing my work trip next week and whether she should give me something before I leave to make sure I miss her enough while I'm gone. talking about dosages and timing like they're pharmacists. When Courtney finally left around 11:30, Tiffany came to bed like absolutely nothing had happened, kissed my forehead, and said, "Sweet dreams, baby. I love you so much." I wanted to throw up, and not because of whatever cocktail of drugs she'd been secretly feeding me. I've been lying here all night thinking about everything. Every single time I got mysteriously sick right after we had any kind of disagreement. All those weeks in March and April where I was so exhausted I could barely function, right after she'd complained that I wasn't helping enough around the house or spending too much time with my friends instead of her. The stomach issues that always seemed to happen after I disagreed with her about something, where we should go for dinner, what to watch on Netflix, how to spend our weekends. I feel like the biggest idiot on the planet. How did I not see this pattern? I don't know what to do or who to tell. Part of me keeps thinking maybe I misheard or misunderstood somehow, but I know exactly what they said. They were laughing about it. Actually laughing about slowly drugging me to control my behavior. Is this real? Does this actually happen to people? I feel like I'm completely losing my mind right now. So my brother picked me up that night and we went straight to the emergency room. I told the triage nurse I suspected someone had been drugging me without my knowledge, and they took it incredibly seriously. Had a doctor who specializes in toxicology come in within like 30 minutes. They ran every test you can imagine. Comprehensive drug screen, liver function, kidney function, the whole 9 yards. Results came back the next morning positive for diphenhydramine, Benadryl, Biscadil, laxatives, promethazine, some anti-nausea medication that makes you super drowsy, and freaking Zolpidem, which is apparently Ambien. The doctor was horrified when she saw the results. She's like, these combinations could have seriously damaged your liver and kidneys with chronic exposure. If the doses had been higher, or if you had any underlying health conditions, this could have killed you. You need to file a police report immediately. My brother wanted me to gather solid evidence before confronting her. So I spent the next 3 days acting normal, while secretly recording conversations and searching the house whenever she was at work. Hardest 3 days of my life, pretending everything was fine while knowing she'd been systematically poisoning me. Found her entire operation on day 3, hidden in a shoebox way in the back of her closet, underneath some old photo albums, bottles and bottles of different medications, printed email chains between her and Courtney going back months, and this leather-bound notebook that made me physically sick to read. 8 months of detailed entries tracking what she gave me when she administered it, what my reactions were, and how my behavior changed afterward. She was literally treating me like a lab rat. Had charts tracking my reactions, rating systems for how effective different drugs were, for different behavioral problems, detailed notes about optimal dosing and timing. The email chains with Courtney were equally horrifying. They'd been planning this systematic abuse together from the very beginning. Courtney had researched drug interactions, suggested specific medications, helped coordinate buying supplies from different pharmacies so it wouldn't look suspicious if anyone checked records. Courtney had written stuff like, "The key is consistency. Every bad behavior needs immediate consequences or he won't learn, and make sure you vary the drugs so his body doesn't build tolerance, and keep detailed records so you can track what works best." I couldn't take it anymore. Yesterday, I confronted her with everything, set my phone up to record video before she got home from work, had all the evidence laid out on the kitchen table. Her reaction was not what I expected at all. She walked in, saw everything, and just didn't seem surprised or panicked, just annoyed that I'd been snooping through her private belongings. She goes, "You're being so dramatic." I was helping you become a better partner. Everything I gave you was completely safe. I did extensive research on dosages and interactions. You drugged me without my knowledge. You made me sick on purpose. I was teaching you to be more considerate and attentive. Look how much our relationship improved. You became so much more loving and apologetic when you messed up. You started really appreciating me. Then she starts getting emotional, saying I'm being mean to her for completely misunderstanding her good intentions. She's like, "I only did all this because I love you so much and wanted us to work out perfectly." Most girlfriends would have just broken up with you for being inconsiderate, but I cared enough to actually help you grow as a person. She talked about how much better I'd been lately. More attentive, less argumentative with her decisions, more eager to her happy. Said she was proud of how much I'd grown and that her methods were clearly working amazingly well. Couldn't understand why I was upset about something that had improved both our lives so dramatically. When I told her I was leaving and filing a police report, she actually laughed at me. Nobody's going to believe this crazy story. Couples have disagreements, and you weren't actually hurt by anything I did. I'll tell everyone you were emotionally abusive and controlling, and that I was just defending myself from your toxic behavior. I'm staying at my brother's place now. Yesterday afternoon, I went to the police station with everything. The recordings, the notebook, all the medication bottles, the email printouts, the medical report from the hospital. The detective who interviewed me said they see intimate partner drugging more than people realize, but rarely with this level of detailed documentation and premeditation. They're opening a formal investigation and said they'll be contacting Courtney as an accessory. Also, said I should expect Tiffany to escalate her behavior once she realizes how serious the potential legal consequences are. Here's what's really messing with my head, though. When she was crying and saying she just wanted to help our relationship be perfect, part of me almost believed her. I know that sounds absolutely insane, but after months of being systematically drugged and psychologically manipulated, I feel like I can't even trust my own judgment anymore. Started seeing a therapist yesterday who specializes in domestic abuse cases. She says what Tiffany did is called medical abuse, and it's a recognized form of intimate partner violence. She says the confusion and self-doubt I'm feeling is completely normal for victims, especially when the abuse involves drugs that affect cognitive function. I was literally planning to propose to this woman next month. Already bought the ring and everything. I trusted her completely, and she was slowly poisoning me every time I did something that annoyed her. I feel like such an idiot for not realizing sooner, but I also keep thinking about all the times I felt absolutely terrible, and she was right there taking care of me, bringing me soup, rubbing my back, telling me how much she loved me. It's so messed up that the person making me sick was also the person comforting me through being sick. This week has been absolutely insane in ways I never could have predicted. Tiffany got arrested Tuesday morning at her office. The charges include aggravated assault, criminal administration of drugs, reckless endangerment, and conspiracy for working with Courtney. She made bail the same day, thanks to her parents putting up their house, but there's a restraining order in place now. But here's where this story takes a turn that's somehow even more disturbing than everything that already happened. Courtney's been doing serious damage control since the arrest became public, including reaching out to warn some of Tiffany's ex-boyfriends that they might get contacted by police as part of a pattern investigation. One of those exes, Tyler, messaged me on Facebook after Courtney gave him a heads up. Tyler dated Tiffany about 2 years ago for roughly 8 months. He said he started having really weird health issues about 3 months into their relationship. He went to tons of doctors trying to figure out what was wrong. Everyone told him it was probably work stress or maybe early onset anxiety disorder. Meanwhile, Tiffany was being supportive and caring, always ready with home remedies and solutions, always encouraging him to rest and let her take care of him. The relationship ended when he started getting suspicious about the timing of his mysterious illnesses. He said he never found any concrete proof, but he noticed he consistently felt worse after they'd had arguments or when he'd done something that upset her. He started feeling better almost immediately after they broke up and moved out of their shared apartment. He'd always wondered about the correlation, but convinced himself he was being paranoid and that the timing was just coincidence. When Courtney reached out to warn him about the police investigation, he said everything suddenly clicked into place, like the most horrifying puzzle pieces of his life. He immediately got in touch with me and then called the detective handling my case to file his own formal report. We met up yesterday at this coffee shop to compare our experiences and stories. The parallels are absolutely chilling and undeniable. We both had the exact same constellation of symptoms, the exact same pattern of mysteriously getting sick right after disagreements or when we did something that displeased her in any way. We both remember her seeming almost excited about taking care of us when we were sick and helpless, like she genuinely enjoyed having us completely dependent on her care. We also realized that Tiffany seems to have a very specific type she targets. Both of us are pretty independent, successful guys who don't naturally fall in line with controlling or manipulative behavior. Tyler thinks she specifically seeks out men who won't easily submit to traditional manipulation tactics, then uses systematic drugging to make us more compliant, dependent, and easier to control over time. The detective assigned to our cases is taking this emerging pattern very seriously now that there are multiple victims with nearly identical experiences spanning several years. They're actively investigating other ex-boyfriends from her dating history, and apparently there might be even more victims we don't know about yet. They've also brought in specialists who deal with serial domestic abusers because this level of premeditation, documentation, and repeat victimization is apparently pretty unusual even for intimate partner violence cases. Meanwhile, Tiffany has been violating the restraining order pretty much every single day since getting out on bail. She's been driving by my work parking garage multiple times, sending messages through mutual friends, asking them to convince me to hear her side of the story, and even had an expensive flower arrangement delivered to my brother's law office with a note saying she misses me terribly and wants to explain everything. She also somehow managed to get my new phone number. I changed it immediately after the arrest for obvious reasons, and has left me several increasingly unhinged voicemails. In them, she says she forgives me for overreacting to everything, and that we can work through this temporary misunderstanding if I just stop listening to people who don't understand our special connection. The voicemails are honestly terrifying to listen to. She talks about our relationship like absolutely nothing has changed. Like I'm just having a temporary tantrum that she needs to patiently wait out. She mentions specific memories we shared together, talks about the Europe vacation we were planning, even references the engagement ring I was secretly going to buy. It's like she's completely detached from the reality of what she did. Each violation gets reported to police immediately, and my brother says they're building a really strong case that she's genuinely dangerous and completely incapable of respecting any boundaries or following any court orders. The worst part of all this is how she's been actively spinning the story to our mutual friends and her family. She's telling people that I'm mentally unstable and making up elaborate stories because I can't handle being in a relationship with a strong, independent woman. She's claiming that I was emotionally abusive and controlling throughout our relationship, and that anything she did was just self-defense against my toxic masculine behavior. Some people are actually believing her version of events, which is frustrating. A few mutual friends have reached out asking if I'm doing okay mentally and suggesting I might need professional help to deal with my anger issues and tendency to blame women for my problems. But Tyler has been amazing about sharing his story with anyone who'll listen, and having a second victim with an identical experience makes it much harder for her to claim we're both just vindictive or delusional ex-boyfriends. Some days I feel really strong and confident that I did the right thing by reporting her and pressing charges. Other days I feel terrible and guilty, like maybe I'm somehow destroying her entire life over something that wasn't really that bad or that I might have brought on myself somehow. My therapist keeps reminding me that systematically poisoning someone for months is definitely that bad, and that I'm not responsible for the consequences of her criminal choices. This insane ride is finally over. The trial ended last month. Tiffany was convicted on multiple felonies. She's getting 18 months in state prison, plus 3 years probation after that. She's also required to register as an offender, pay full restitution for my medical expenses and therapy costs, and is permanently prohibited from contacting me, Tyler, or any of the other victims. Courtney was charged as an accessory to assault and conspiracy. She took a plea deal pretty early in the process. She got 6 months in county jail and 200 hours of community service in exchange for testifying against Tiffany. Their sisterly relationship has been completely destroyed. During the trial, Courtney threw Tiffany completely under the bus, claiming she thought it was just harmless pranks between sisters and had absolutely no idea how serious Tiffany's intentions really were. Turns out, there were 5 total victims over the last 4 years. Tyler and I helped 2 other exes come forward, and even Courtney's ex confirmed she did the same thing to them, drugging and manipulating while teaching Tiffany how to do it. The judge didn't hold back during the sentencing hearing, called Tiffany's behavior predatory and deeply disturbing, said the way she documented everything showed this wasn't emotional or impulsive, it was planned. And just to make it worse, Tiffany decided to speak for herself at sentencing. Instead of showing any remorse or taking responsibility, she claimed we were all working together to destroy her reputation and her life because we felt threatened by her success and independence. The judge and jury were visibly disgusted by her complete lack of accountability. As for me, I'm healing. Therapy's helped a lot. I've learned how I got pulled into something like this and how to spot red flags now. I feel like myself again for the first time in years. My health is back, my mind is clearer, and I'm not constantly blaming myself anymore. My physical health has been back to normal for months now. I genuinely cannot believe I lived for nearly a year feeling constantly exhausted, sick, and confused, and just accepted that as my new reality. Tyler and I became really good friends through this whole nightmare. We joke about starting the worst support group ever, but honestly, having someone who gets it has made all the difference. To anyone reading this who recognizes similar patterns in their own life or relationship, please trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. I'm doing really, really well now. Better than I've been in years, actually. Thanks for sticking with me through this absolutely crazy journey, Reddit.
All right, that's all for today's story. But before we close this chapter, here is my honest opinion. The most terrifying part of this story is not only that Tiffany drugged him, it is that she called it love. She did not see him as a partner with feelings, boundaries, and free will. She saw him as something to manage, correct, punish, and reward until he became easier to control, and that is the lesson here. Care is not control. Love does not secretly weaken you, then praise itself for helping you recover. A real partner does not make you sick so they can feel needed. They do not confuse obedience with growth or fear with devotion. When someone keeps hurting you and then positions themselves as the only person who can comfort you, that is not romance. That is captivity with affection attached. So if your body, your mind, or your instincts keep telling you something is wrong, listen. Sometimes confusion is not weakness. Sometimes it is the first alarm your soul can still send before the truth finally becomes visible. Because real love should make you feel safer, clearer, and more alive. Not smaller, not sicker, not easier to control. Thanks for watching. See you in the next story.